This is Hannibal here, back from my midnight run for a daily news update. By the way, I'm also on day 2 of my DDP yoga challenge that DDP presented to me when he did a shoot interview with me. I wanted to wait till I installed the TV in my basement gym so I could see the videos properly. And so far, from the 2 sessions I've done, I've enjoyed it. I'll keep you updated for the 30 days that I'm doing this. And DDP said after I complete the 30 days, he'll come back on and do another interview with me. So let me get into the news. I've been telling you guys about the SWE Fury women's division, which Jazz is the director of, multiple-time WWE women's champion, how good quality it is. Well, 3 of the lovely ladies from SWE Fury are having AEW Dark matches this coming week. It's going to be Vert Vixen against Red Velvet. And I'm pretty sure that Red Velvet is recently engaged to Wes Briscoe. Pretty positive about that. Thunder Rosa, former NWA champion, will be taking on Jasmine Allure, who you fans voted to be the female from SWE Fury you'd like to see the most in Great North Wrestling next year. If AEW doesn't pick her up by then, I mean, these are just matches. And Maddie Rinkowski against Leia Heidschitz or something like that. But Maddie, Jasmine, and Vert are from SWE Fury, and I'm actually going to watch those matches on AEW Dark. That makes me want to tune into AEW Dark for the very first time. I don't know if I'll watch all the matches. I probably will just skip to theirs, but I'm looking forward to seeing them. I know they all work very hard. They're good on the mic. They're hard-hitting, and this is just a step in the right direction for them, and I hope it went well for them. The Slickster himself, the Doctor of Style, the man who sings Jive Soul Bro, I did speak with him today on the phone, and when he told me he came up with Akeem's gimmick. Akeem, who had a 3.5-hour shoot interview that people love on here, a.k.a. the One Man Gang, he told me he came up with that because he was friends with the One Man Gang, and he wanted to save his job, so he came up with another gimmick. But he's going to tell me this. He's really busy right now, and he's actually in Texas right now. He normally lives in Kentucky, where he is a pastor, and I guess he was a pastor this whole time. He holds 8 degrees. I really enjoyed talking to him. We've been playing phone tag, but around mid to late January, that interview is finally going to happen. He's a little preoccupied right now, but he is going to do it, and he has seen other interviews on my channel. So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. I am a fan. Some people will make fun of the Pile Driver album for the people around my age that were wrestling fans when that came out, but I love the Pile Driver album. I'll still listen to it when I run, as cheesy as that sounds. Other than Coco Beware's song, coincidentally, the Pile Driver, that's my least favorite song on the album. But yeah, it brings back good memories. And definitely, that might be my favorite album of all time, as cheesy as that sounds. Reggie B. Fine, who's wrestled in Texas and Memphis and many other territories. He's done stuff with The Godfather. He's been contacting me and telling me he wants to get a lot off of his chest, and he wants to shoot on some people, and he really wants to get some stuff out there. So Sunday, later tonight at 9 p.m., I think, 9 p.m. Eastern time, I believe, is going to be that interview. As Beater Carr tips me $5 and says, the Hannibal TV is his favorite combat sports on YouTube. Thanks for all the great content and UFO reporting. More UFO reporting to come. I did have over an hour conversation with a very famous UFO guy last week, and I really hope to do a recorded version of that in the very near future, because there were some technical issues. We just ended up talking, but there's a lot of interesting stuff in the UFO world, and I'm also becoming known for that. And there's a bright future in that stuff, because I don't want to get too much off topic, but thank you, Beater Car. And for all of our members on here, there was a Magnum TA interview that was live for members earlier today, and I crammed as much as I possibly could into the time I had with him. And by the end of it, it may have been the best use of my hour that I had ever. He did go a little bit over an hour, but I really crammed like as much relevant stuff that I could possibly ask Magnum TA into that hour. And I've posted a couple clips on here, one of him giving his side, as he is Tessa Blanchard's stepfather. He did help train Tessa. He did help raise Tessa, even though she's Tully's kid. But he gave her side of the Impact situation, which was basically they had already used up all of her dates with Impact. And it's COVID time. She's in Mexico. She didn't want to re-sign with them because she's ready to move on to the next step. And they didn't offer as much money to come back after contract expires to drop the title. So they dropped the ball there with Tessa, who has numerous matches on this channel. Thoughts on Kenny Omega with Don Callis? Well, it got a 0.04 rating this week, Impact, and AEW wasn't he in a feature match, and they went from a 0.45 to a 0.32 with him as champion. Double S says, congrats to Wes Briscoe, who's a former The Hannibal TV heavyweight champion and also Great North Wrestling Canadian champion. And they are engaged. And we've had our differences, but I do consider Wes Briscoe a friend of mine. We do have mutual respect. Speaking of respect for wrestlers and respect for wrestling fans, I got a report on a show that took place in Florida Saturday night by a promoter that presents himself as working for the Cauliflower Alley Club, which when I had given the show some plugs and originally was in contact with him, he does present himself as working for the Cauliflower Alley Club. But I've later received confirmation from someone that works at the Cauliflower Alley Club legitimately that he does not work for the Cauliflower Alley Club. This show was in an 8,000-seat arena, and this same guy that works for the Cauliflower Alley Club was there. He had free tickets with some other people that had free tickets. Apparently, there were 75 people total in this 8,000-seat arena, and 10 advertised talent no-showed that were names. There were other lower card wrestlers that weren't names that also weren't there, but I'm going to list off for you the 10 advertised names that were not there. Kevin Sullivan was not there. Jimmy Hart, Nasty Boy Knobs, Nasty Boy Sags, Alpha Jr., Alofa, former head shrinkery, replaced Samu for a bit, was also known as LA Smooth. He was not there. The Blood Hunter was not there. Teal Piper was not there. Her partner in House of Heathens, Demios, was not there. Amber Nova was not there. Those are the advertised names that you might recognize that were not there. And as I said, there was others. So to advertise people that aren't there and continue advertising them when you know they're not coming, that just makes the whole business bad. It's one thing if for some reason they miss a flight and they can't be there, but if you cancel people or never book them and advertise them, that's bad for the whole wrestling business. So it actually disgusts me, to be perfectly honest with you. Will I ever do a full shoot interview with Kenny Omega or Chris Jericho? I'm not opposed to anything. I consider myself neutral. Rodrigo, I've only met Tori Wilson actually when I was eating dinner with David Penzer in Florida, coincidentally, at a WrestleMania weekend. She came into the restaurant we were at with my crew. She came over to say hi to them. I took a picture of them. That was about it. I know she's married to someone that's very well off. I don't think she really needs shoot interview pay. John says he feels that Braun Strowman fears the Blood Hunter. Could I get an interview with the Blood Hunter's manager, Kevin Sullivan, about all these wrestlers avoiding the Blood Hunter and outright running from him? As far as I know, Kevin Sullivan is only his manager in PCW Ultra, in Great North Wrestling. He was supposed to be his manager in UWN. And then Blaze is his co-manager in Great North Wrestling. I don't know really who his SWE Fury manager is going to be. There's been lots of talk of many people want those services because Kevin Sullivan has other affairs to take care of. Speaking of SW Fury, not to get off topic, but Mark Henry has been announced for the February 6th show, as well as Justin Credible. Kamal, what's my beef with WWE? I have no beef with it. I'm completely neutral. Do I find it entertaining? No. But I don't watch any of the TV wrestling companies. Someone was just talking about UFO stuff. If I have free time, first of all, I work in mostly wrestling stuff. So if I have free time, I want to look into UFO stuff or MMA or boxing. If I find something interesting in wrestling, let's say Davey Boy Smith Jr. goes to WWE, I will watch him wrestle from time to time. I do watch people that I know in there from time to time. Doesn't mean I hate the company or have a beef with the company. I'm friends with people in WWE, actually, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes. Jinder Mahal used to be one of my best friends, and I wish him nothing but the best. But I will give my honest opinion. I'm not going to tell you that I can't wait to see next week's TV show. You're trying to tell me I have a beef with them? They got the lowest rating of all time for Raw on Monday. So do you think everyone that didn't watch has a personal vendetta? I honestly don't care. I'd love to interview Vince McMahon. To be perfectly honest, Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard and I were actually exchanging a few emails prior to him getting back on as head writer. Like a couple of years ago, there was some talk that I was going to do a shoot interview with him. Scott is an indie wrestling fan nowadays. Well, I wish all of you guys a good night. I'm going to put out another clip from the Magnum interview. And I still have tons of stuff from the last SWE Fury event to put up. And I've got some big interviews coming up in the near future and other interviews coming up next week. So stay tuned, subscribe. I do post a lot more material on our The Hannibal TV Facebook page and The Hannibal TV Instagram and Twitter lately. And I do have a personal Twitter separate from The Hannibal TV that other people help run at Devon Hannibal. And if you DM me on there, I will follow you back. So good night to you. And someone says, Bruce Pritchard is head writer. What a flop. I actually like Bruce overall. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many hours of TV to fill. They're a very corporate company. They have to adhere to certain rules. I wouldn't put it all on Bruce Pritchard. I would take ideas from him. And Lunar Force says he's looking forward to part 2 of the Barry Darso interview. The part 1 is already up for members, but it will eventually be out in full. I liked it. And I'm looking forward to part 2 too. He didn't think he'd have enough to talk about for 2 hours, and he had more than enough to talk about. He could probably talk to me for at least 6 hours and just scratch the surface of his career, which he had success in numerous different characters. So have a great Sunday, everybody.